Hi guys, my name is Marley. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am in kind of a weird location, not in my usual dorm room, and that's because my roommates are, well, one of them's asleep and the other one's like doing homework and stuff like that. So I came to the Fireside Lounge in Reber Hall. This is where I have some meetings for one of the organizations I'm part of, but I'm by a window so I can see people walking by. So if you see my eyes like dart around, that's what I'm watching. So in today's video, I am going to be talking about choosing a roommate, why you might want to choose a roommate, and some sample questions you can use in order to start up those conversations and get started on your roommate selection. So you can either choose your roommates or you can do random roommates. So when I was a senior in high school going into college, I was really excited about getting started on making sure that I had all my supplies for my dorm. I really wanted to feel like I had a connection to people before I moved in, excited for some kind of concrete. I'm going to this college, I know who I'm living with, I know where I'm living, and I just really wanted to feel like solidified in what I was doing. So it made total sense for me to choose my roommates. It was also kind of nice logistically. We were able to decide to rent a micro fridge and split the cost of that. So similarly, one of my roommates brought a full-length mirror, so I didn't have to bring one, and I brought a fan, so they didn't have to bring one. It was also really comforting to have people to talk to during the whole process, because sometimes it's confusing. You're like, oh, did I have to pay that payment already? Are you guys gonna have like this many hangers, or is that too many? Oh, I'm getting this laundry bag, because we'd send like room inspiration pictures, and that was really sweet. And it was just kind of a cool way to bond and get to know each other. I know some of my friends from home even went as far as like planning their decorations together in order to have like the same comforter or things like that. I think there's definitely like a lot of perks of just like knowing things ahead of time if you're a planner. And random roommates, you're gonna fill out a survey, and it's gonna just have questions about your living style, it'll have your major, what you're interested in, that kind of thing. They'll just match you with someone who has similar interests. It works for a lot of people. You find out before you move in who your roommate's going to be, so it's not like you meet them on the first day if you don't want to, but they usually just give your email to your other roommate. I'm a freshman this year, so that means that my graduating class is class of 2025. So when I was looking for a roommate last year, when I got into UCLA, I was looking for a UCLA class of 2025. So I did that on Instagram. You can also do it on Facebook, I believe. There's a lot of groups, and this works with all other schools. I had done it for Michigan when I had gone in there. It's just like the same thing, like Michigan class of 2025. So for incoming freshmen next year, it'll be class of 2026. And even if that's not the year you plan on graduating, it's like your graduation year anyways. So just go off of that. There's like usually like 3 or 4 pages that are similar vibes, and a lot of people post the same pictures on all of them. But pretty much what these sites are going to do are they're going to help you see all of the people who are also looking for roommates, and then you guys can see what similarities you have and kind of get to know somebody, and you can DM them. They usually give their Snapchat and their Instagram, so you can get to know them. We always joke about it, but it's literally speed dating or like online dating, but for roommates. You can either send in your own pictures if you want, and then you can give a little bio of like, hey, my name's Marley, I love to go to farmers markets, and I love to crochet and knit, I'm a psych major, da 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 da. And then people will either DM you if you want that, and then you can DM them. So that's one way to find a roommate. At least for UCLA, someone had made a spreadsheet. I'm sure it happens at other schools as well, but someone made a large spreadsheet that had a spot for your email, your Instagram, your Snapchat, living style preference, what time you go to bed, what time you wake up, what's your favorite song, and then you can just see who you like are similar to. My first roommate, Jasmine, and I found each other on that spreadsheet, and so we DM'd each other on Instagram, and we just started talking. My second one I found through the UCLA class of 2025 page. I was scrolling through and I saw her, and we had a lot of similarities, so I was like, wow, this girl seems so cool too. And so I DM'd her, and we decided to all 3 room together. There's 2 ways to kind of find them. I'm sure there's other ways that people do too. I think there's a slideshow where you can make a slide and fill out information, but it's all the same gist. You give a brief summary about you and your interests and what your wants and needs in a roommate are, and then you just find someone who has similar wants and needs and interests, and then you guys communicate, and then you can set up being roommates. Okay, so at this point, you've decided that you want to choose your own roommate, and you've found people who you have similar interests to. Now we get into the part where you're really trying to narrow down who you're going to live best with. I think this is where people have the hardest time. It's so easy when you're first meeting people to just be like, you're so cool, I'm so cool, we vibe really well, let's be roommates. And that's great if you want to be friends, but it's not always great if you want to be roommates. And I think it's really important to focus on making sure that you're choosing someone who you're going to live compatibly with, because that will lead to a good friendship. And it's not necessarily true that a good friendship will lead to good roommate situation. When you're looking for a roommate, you're not just looking for a friend, you're looking for someone who you can share a space with. It's like your only private space in college, and it's really small, and you're going to be with them all the time, and they're going to see you in all of your different stages of life, all your different stages of the day, and you want them to be someone who you can trust and who you care about and who you can respect and who will respect you. That's my preface. To start off, get to know someone. All the little like small talky kind of things. If there's someone that you're interested in and you're like, wow, I could really see us kind of clicking, keep talking to them. If you're like, you know, I feel like I've had a better connection with someone else, I'm telling you, it's like a dating app. You're gonna be talking to a ton of people. It's just totally normal. Some people you're gonna click with more, and some people you're gonna not click with as much. That doesn't mean that they're not good people or that you don't wanna be their friend. I've seen a ton of people here at school that I had talked to be roommates, and then we end up meeting each other in college, and we're like, oh my God, this is so fun, and then we end up being friends. Just because they're not your roommate doesn't mean they can't be your friend. You start off just like random questions about people just to get to know them. From there, you can start asking more specific questions about living. Before you start asking other people what their preferences and lifestyle choices are, I think it's really important to know your own. And in order to do that, make a list of the ways that you live your life now and how you're going to continue to prioritize those in college. So whether that's your sleep schedule, what your class schedule you want it to be like. Are you gonna wake up to snoring, or can you sleep through it and it's not that big of a deal? I have like one friend who she's like, oh, I sleepwalk, and so I have to be on the bottom bunk, otherwise it's not safe. Like, is that something that you need to do? Can you fall asleep with the lights still on, or is like you have to have lights off and it has to be dark in your room when you're asleep? Do you need silence? Are you more of like a white noise person? I really like having my fan on at night, even if it's already cold. I like having the fan on, and my roommates do too, and it's kind of nice to have that white noise in our room, but you might not be able to sleep with white noise. And then obviously things like work-life balance, room organization, and cleanliness. Do you plan on studying in your room? I personally really like to study in libraries or outside. One of my roommates loves to study inside in our room. How are you planning to communicate? What communication styles do you use? How do you feel about visitors staying over? What are your policies on like borrowing and sharing things with your roommates? Just having like a general sense of what you want before you start asking what other people want, I think helps guide you in understanding, oh, that would work with me or not. If you're gonna live with someone who's gonna plan on having classes at 8 a.m., you're probably gonna hear them wake up, and that might affect your sleep. If you're someone who's like, I love to sleep in, I need to have all my sleep in the morning, look for someone who's also like, I have never woken up before 10 o'clock and all my classes are gonna be in the afternoon. Great, that's awesome, that's something for you. I really like organization, and I wanted my space to feel very orderly because sometimes life can be a little bit chaotic, and I like to come back to my room and feel like, I know where everything goes, and I can feel like I can take a deep breath in here. Obviously, you do not need to have all the answers to these, and it totally makes sense that you don't. I think my answers have changed since I was choosing my roommates. Get into the nitty gritty. You may as well. You're gonna be living with the person for an entire year. You're gonna find out eventually. Better do it up front and then not have any problems later than to do it later on when you already have conflict, you know? This is such an all over the place video. I deeply apologize. What I'm trying to say is, I think that if you start with roommate being good and then you become good friends, that's almost always better than if you just are friends and then you try to force it into a roommate situation. And if you are friends with someone and you know you won't live compatibly with them, I personally think that it's a mature decision for both of you to protect your relationship and say, hey, I think you're really cool. I value our friendship, and because I value it so much and I think that you're such a great person and I want to continue to have a healthy relationship with you, I think it's better if we don't live together, because I know that our living styles are different, and that does not mean anything about you, does not mean anything about me. It just means that we're probably not cut out to live in the same home together. I think that it's totally normal. You're not gonna live well with everybody, and that's just how it is. But also a big thing about college is learning to adjust. You're gonna learn to adapt and adjust, and your roommate will too, and that's just part of it. The next section of the video is just gonna be me talking to my friends about how they chose their roommate and if they have any tips / what their best questions were.
I know like some people have good experiences going random, but I think the odds are a lot smaller that you'll have a good experience going random.
I feel like you have a better chance of success if you try to like meet your roommate before.
I would say make sure you FaceTime them beforehand, because as much as you can like text back and forth, I feel like the vibe is different when you're actually having a conversation.
We did this, we like FaceTime before we decided to be roommates instead of just like texting, and I think that was really good.
Just have good communication. Don't be afraid to tell your roommate when something is bothering you, because you don't want it to like build resentment.
So you just have to be comfortable enough to ask for what you want from them and be able to effectively communicate stuff beforehand so it doesn't turn into a problem. Like set boundaries, and then you'll be able to be friends with that person without finding yourself getting upset at them.
For me, the most important thing at the beginning of the year was talking with my roommates about making a solid friendship and building a solid friendship with them, but also being able to have our separate friendships, because it's really important to have your room as like your little safe spot, but also being able to escape that and have your own separate friends.
I thought, it'd be nice to just go with it random. Honestly, I'm like pretty chill, like living wise. If you just communicate in advance and get to know each other, it'll most of the time will end out fine.
As long as all of you guys are like flexible and like nice and can compromise, you'll be totally fine.
Sorry everyone, this video is a little bit all over the place, but pretty much that's the gist of it. But no matter what, everyone's gonna learn, grow, and adapt, and you're gonna figure it out. So I hope that this helped somebody, and let me know if you have any questions, and I will try to answer them, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Okay, that's all.
Missing someone.